Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, it really helps.
All right, buckle up for this one, because today we're going deep into a story that honestly sounds like a straight out of a spy thriller. We're talking top secret military operations, mysterious illnesses, and a fight for, well, for recognition.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And this is all happening right now.
Oh, yeah,
It all centers around, well, you guessed it, Area 51.
of course.
But we're actually going even deeper than that. To a place so secretive most people don't even know it exists. It's the Nevada Test and Training Range, or NTTR.
The NTTR. Yeah, and this place played a crucial role, especially during the Cold War, in developing and testing, well, all sorts of weapons systems. Things like the stealth fighter.
To counter the Soviets?
Exactly, to stay ahead of the Soviet Union. So everything that happened there, I mean, naturally, everything was completely shrouded in secrecy.
Okay, so imagine this, right? You're a young recruit, the best of the best, hand-picked for this top-secret mission at NTTR, and you can't tell your family.
Nope,
Your friends anything about what you're going?
nothing.
Not even where you're going?
You can't even mention the weather.
No, it's wild.
This wasn't your average military secrecy, right? We're talking about a level of compartmentalization that's incredibly rare. I mean, even within the defense community.
So these guys are living double lives, serving their country in the shadows, and with a no idea of what the long-term consequences might be. And that's where our story takes a turn, right? We're going to unpack this recent interview with Dave Creed, a veteran who served at NTTR, and what he uncovered during just a casual reunion with his fellow veterans is, well, it's both shocking and deeply concerning.
To say the least.
It all started with just a simple question, right? Have any of you developed tumors? Now, keep in mind, this is a group of 8 veterans just hanging out, reminiscing about old times. But when that question was asked, a chilling pattern emerged.
A chilling pattern, yeah.
So out of those 8 veterans, 6 of them had developed tumors.
Wow.
Plus another veteran's son, he was born with them. Statistically speaking, I mean, the odds of that happening by pure chance are incredibly slim.
Like winning the lottery, but in the worst way possible.
Yeah, and that's when Dave Creed realized that this wasn't an isolated incident. He started to compile a list of veterans who had served at NTTR and were experiencing similar health problems.
And it wasn't just tumors. We're talking a whole range of conditions, things like rare autoimmune disorders,
Right.
and even birth defects in their children. It really paints this picture of potential widespread health consequences that really no one anticipated.
And this list is growing.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Creed now has 446 names on it. And sadly, the average age of death for these veterans is just 65.
That's significantly lower than the national average, which really raises some serious questions about a possible link between their service at NTTR and these health issues.
Yeah, I mean, think about that for a second, right? You dedicate your life to serving your country only to discover years later that your service might have caused you and your family unimaginable suffering.
It's heartbreaking.
And adding to their struggle is the fact that the Department of Defense, they deny that these veterans were ever even stationed at NTTR.
Right.
They cite national security as the reason for this denial and refuse to release any records that might shed light on what happened there.
So it's like they're being erased from history. But here's the thing. Department of Energy workers, some of whom worked at NTTR in seemingly less hazardous roles, have received compensation.
Compensation
Yeah, for exposure to radiation and toxins at the same site.
at the same site. So this inconsistency is incredibly perplexing, and it really raises questions about whether national security is truly the driving force behind the ZOD's actions. Could there be other reasons for their denial? Are they concerned about potential legal ramifications, or is it simply a matter of bureaucratic red tape and just a lack of accessible records? I mean, these are questions we need to explore further.
Definitely.
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely adds another layer of complexity to this already intricate story.
Absolutely.
It's a classic catch-22, and it leaves these guys feeling betrayed and abandoned.
Absolutely. Imagine dedicating years of your life to serving your country only to be told that that it never even happened. It's a devastating blow, both emotionally and practically, because without that recognition, well, they're left to navigate this complex and often overwhelming process of seeking medical care and benefits completely on their own.
And that's exactly what Dave Creed has been doing. He's become an advocate for these forgotten veterans collecting their stories, compiling evidence, and demanding answers from, well, from those in power.
It's a fight that takes incredible courage and perseverance, especially given the sensitive nature of the work at NTTR. There's always the risk of running up against national security concerns and facing legal repercussions for speaking out.
Yeah, he's risking a lot to bring this to light, but he's not doing it for himself, right? He's doing it for his fellow veterans who are suffering, for their families who are struggling to cope, and for those who have already lost their lives to these mysterious illnesses.
And as we delve deeper into his story, we start to see just how pervasive these health issues, how pervasive they really are. For example, Dave Creed's son, David, he was born with neurofibromatosis.
Now, for those who aren't familiar, neurofibromatosis it's a genetic condition that causes tumors to grow on nerve tissue. It can be inherited, but it can also be influenced by environmental factors, which raises some very disturbing questions about the possible long-term effects of exposure to whatever was present at NTTR.
Exactly. And while we can't definitively say that David's condition was caused by his father's service at NTTR, the potential connection, it's certainly there. And it becomes even more concerning when you consider that other veterans' children are experiencing similar health challenges.
Like we mentioned earlier, another veteran at that reunion barbecue, he revealed that his son, who was born while he was stationed at NTTR, also had tumors. And as Dave Creed started to connect with more veterans, he uncovered a pattern of miscarriages and birth defects among their families.
This suggests that whatever these veterans were exposed to at NTTR, it might have had intergenerational impacts affecting not only their own health, but also the health of their children and possibly even future generations. This adds a whole new dimension to the issue of accountability and raises some really profound ethical question about the government's responsibility to protect not only those who serve, but also their families.
And the fact that the DoD is denying any connection to these health issues just adds insult to injury. It feels like a betrayal of the trust these veterans placed in their government and in the mission they were sworn to uphold.
This lack of transparency, it further complicates matters because it makes it incredibly difficult to determine exactly what these veterans were exposed to and what the long-term health consequences, what they might be.
And to make matters worse, the very nature of the work at NTPR, it makes it incredibly difficult to prove a direct link between their service and their health problems.
Right. We know they were developing and testing advanced weapons systems, but the specifics of those systems and the materials involved are still shrouded in secrecy.
So we're left with these veterans who are sick, families who are suffering, and a government that's unwilling to acknowledge any responsibility. It's a heartbreaking situation, and it raises some really important questions about the true cost of national security.
And this begs the question, what steps can be taken to address this issue? Are there legal avenues these veterans can pursue? What kind of scientific research is needed to better understand the potential health risks associated with their service at NTTR?
These are complex questions, and there are no easy answers. But one thing is clear: we need to start by acknowledging the sacrifices these veterans have made and ensure that they receive the care and support they deserve.
And that includes demanding transparency from the government and pushing for a thorough investigation into the potential health risks associated with service at NTTR.
Yeah, we can't just sweep this under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. These are real people with real families who are suffering real consequences.
Their stories deserve to be heard, and their voices deserve to be amplified until justice is served.
You know, it's mind-blowing to think about what these veterans were up against, working in total secrecy, not even knowing the full extent of the risks they were facing.
Yeah, and that's the truly insidious thing about potential exposure to hazardous materials. The effects often don't show up right away. It can be years, even decades before symptoms start to show up, making it incredibly difficult to establish a clear causal link.
Dave Creed describes how he and the other airmen would be covered in dust from the testing range, dust that likely contained, well, who knows what, all sorts of unknown substances.
Right.
And they'd go home in those clothes, unknowingly exposing their families to potential toxins.
It's a haunting thought, realizing that the very act of serving their country might have inadvertently put their loved ones at risk.
And it really underscores the need for for comprehensive long-term health monitoring for anyone who worked at NTTR. Even if we can't pinpoint the exact substances they were exposed to, we can at least track their health over time and look for any emerging patterns that might warrant further investigation.
Absolutely. Early detection is key when it comes to many of these conditions. The sooner you catch something, the better the chances of successful treatment and management.
But even with early detection, the challenges these veterans face are immense. Many of them are dealing with chronic pain, debilitating illnesses, and the emotional toll of knowing that their service might have impacted their families.
It's a heavy burden to carry, and it's compounded by the government's denial, which adds this layer of bureaucratic and legal hurdles to an already complex situation.
They're fighting for recognition, for medical care, for financial support, and in many cases for their very lives. And they're doing it with limited resources and against a system that seems designed to protect itself rather than those who served.
It's a stark reminder that the true cost of war often extends far beyond the battlefield. It can ripple through generations, leaving a legacy of pain and uncertainty.
Dave Creep's story and the stories of the hundreds of other veterans on his list, they serve as a powerful call to action. We can't let these men and women be forgotten or dismissed.
We need to demand accountability from our government, push for greater transparency, and ensure that those who served our country receive the care and support they deserve.
This deep dive into the story of Area 51's invisible enemy has been both enlightening and heartbreaking. It's made us think about the sacrifices we ask of those who serve and the long-term consequences that can arise from operating in the shadows.
What Dave Creed and his fellow veterans are facing is a tragedy, but it's also a testament to their resilience and their determination to fight for justice.
Their voices deserve to be heard, their stories deserve to be told, and their sacrifices deserve to be honored. We can't let them down.
And perhaps the most crucial takeaway for all of us is this: the pursuit of national security should never come at the expense of human life. The well-being of those who serve and their families should always be paramount.
That's a powerful message, and one that we hope resonates with everyone listening. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to learn more about Dave Creed's story and to support the ongoing efforts to bring justice to these forgotten veterans.
If you enjoyed this episode of While We Were Distracted, be sure to watch the video that inspired it.